When is there a day where I don't have something to say?
Well, got enough cameras on you.
Every camera's on us. So yeah.
AJ will be here next.
So did you know that Miss Connie started selling health and life insurance?
Who?
Constance, Connie, Junior's mama. Light skin. I don't think you've ever met her.
Well, yeah, well.
You know Jasmine?
Yeah. Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is adolescence and substance abuse. And we're fortunate to have with us to talk about adolescence and the various types of substance that are abused, Alana McLaughlin. Alana, let me welcome you to the show this morning and to say how delighted we are to have you, and to remind our audience that you started with us about 6 years ago. And you're still with us, and I think giving us excellent shows. And that is one of the reasons that we have you back each time, because you do give us some excellent information in reference to people within your age group especially. And that's why I think today we decided to call this show, at your suggestion, Adolescence and Child Abuse. But before we get started into this topic this morning, Alana, let's have you to give us some information in reference to your background, education, and some of your experiences, and then we'll talk about adolescence and substance abuse for the second segment.
Well, Dr. Haney, as you've already stated, my name is Alana McLaughlin. I am 13 years old. I will be 14 next month, which will be August 27th. Next school year, since we just finished one, I'll be attending the Nashville School of the Arts. I go to NSA for trumpet. I'm in the music category. That's really what I excel in. And I'm also in marching band with Pearl Cone High School. Go BOT. And basically, my pastimes include reading, writing, playing music. I play trumpet and piano and various instruments within the trumpet range, you know, like horn, cornet, all those, French horn, things like that. And so that's basically my life, and of course coming here and sharing knowledge about subjects I know about and that I can sometimes even relate to, you know, see firsthand and give a big insight on that subjects like the one that we're talking about today.
Okay, and that's what we will talk about today, Alana, adolescence and substance abuse. Let's, before we have our second segment, let's get started in terms of identifying certain terms in terms of the individuals or the people that we're dealing with and the substances that you would like to highlight this morning.
Well, some key terms that I'll be using throughout the show, one of them being substance abuse. Anything can be abused. Any substance can be abused. Right now, we're talking about substances that are within the drug category, stuff that's not always legal. Things like heroin, cocaine, marijuana, prescription pills like Adderall and etc. That's what I'm talking about. And adolescence. In my eyes, the adolescent ranges from 13 to about mid-20s. After you get past, say, like 25 or 25 and older, you're an adult. Until, you know, 40s, that's like middle age, and then 65 and older, that's senior citizen. To me, I don't know if there's a set scale for that, but that's how I'm looking at it. You know, if I'm wrong, you know, feel free to correct me or whatever. But that's what I'm going to be talking about, and that's the age group that I'm focusing on. I will include statistics from other age groups, such as senior citizens and adults, but the main focus is adolescents.
Very good. And of course, when we have our first commercial break, then we'll come back and we'll deal with that. But I think that some of the information that you can bring to us in reference to this should be very, very helpful for people within your age category. As a matter of fact, that's why.
Especially because we abuse substances the most. 60% of teens who abuse substances get them from other age groups. That just makes it easier for us to get it. That makes it easier for us to distribute it. That means more of us get them. So we're really an afflicted age group, honestly.
And so in a real sense, you're dealing with an area and with a group that should be very, very interested in some of the things that we're saying. And most of those individuals that fall within that group can relate to some of the terms that you will probably use that in a real sense, I might not even understand. Honestly, them in a real sense.
You either know someone who abuses drugs or you are someone. And it's as simple as that.
And it's that prevalent. You think it's that prevalent?
It's that prevalent. I can tell you plenty. I won't, but I could tell you plenty of people who abuse substances. I haven't, thankfully, but I know plenty of my old classmates. And I just got out of middle school. Like, I know plenty of people. And it's sad.
And so you see, and these individuals we see walking around at the mall and at various other places, and many of them might be involved in what we call substance abuse. And so in a real sense, this is a real problem in America today, dealing with that particular, with all groups in a real sense, but especially with this particular group. And this is why we wanted to highlight what we're dealing with
we need to get awareness out for this. There's so many groups that help teenagers get off drugs, but we just need more awareness.
Okay, and so what we'll do, we'll take our first commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.
You did that at first, and you had me thinking that was from the end, so I stopped talking, and I kept giving it to you because I kept thinking it was going to end. Yeah, so I got confused. That's why I stopped talking, but I had more to say, but I was scared that I was going to go over.
Well, now, what we'll do, we'll come back for the second segment. And then this will be an 8-minute segment, and we're still talking about adolescence and substance abuse, and now you're free in a real sense to sort of build your information around within that 8-minute area. Can you do that?
Oh, well, you like my nails?
Yeah, yeah. Why you got them? You got one of them glitter. Silver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this will be 7 minutes and 55 seconds, and I'm going to introduce the show again. So this is moving quite well here. I hope you can
thank you. Thank you.
And saying, you know, and all I'm going to say is let's pick up where we left off the last time, and then you.
So I'm going to talk about like statistic-wise for this subject, and then I'm talking about like real-world experiences for the last segment is what I meant. And only do your eyebrows when it's about to end.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Just make sure I get it, you know. I'll be looking at you. Just
I generally say it when, you know, almost.
I know, but you cut me off, like, and I don't want to keep going. So just make sure I can.
Thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. We're talking to Alana McLaughlin, and she's given us some information in reference to adolescence and substance abuse. And Alana, let's pick up where we left off during that first segment to have you continue your discussion in reference to some of the issues involved with adolescence and substance abuse. Let's do it from that perspective.
As I stated in the first segment, I will be referring to, any substance can be abused. Anything can be abused. But right now, for the purpose of the show, I'm solely talking about drugs, things that aren't meant to be abused, but still are. Things that are meant to, well, prescription drugs at least, are meant to help you, not to kill you. And so that's what I'll be talking about. Also, I will be focusing on the adolescent age group. In my eyes, that means 13 to say middle 20s. I will be including statistics from other age groups and etc., but I will be mainly focusing on teenagers, you know, young adults. So as I said, or as I just said, substance abuse. What is substance abuse? Substance abuse, in a short layman's type term, is basically when someone gets something and or gets a drug and they abuse it. You know, they abuse its power. Drugs are meant to give you a temporary high, or, you know, make you forget about things, etc., etc. They're not meant to be used every hour of the day, every single day, to the point where you're sick and throwing up. That's a sign that you're addicted to that drug. Now, honestly, and you can look this up, 60% of seniors in high school don't think that marijuana is bad. And to be fair, marijuana doesn't necessarily kill people, but THC will make you addicted to marijuana. And it's 5 times stronger. That THC in marijuana is 5 times stronger than it was 20 years ago. So as you see, it's only getting stronger, which means it's only getting more addictive. And that's only, say, when you're high, and some people will love to argue about this, you don't think straight. Some people say, oh, well, being high makes me more productive, da, 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 da. You can be just as productive sober as you can high. And that's not something that has to be scientifically proven. That's just common sense. Anyone under the influence of drugs can be just as dumb or just as productive sober, but I feel like it's better to be sober. Why? Because drugs do nothing for you or do nothing for people around you. They only help you. Being high, say your job has a random drug test, you're going to lose your job. And things like that. They have more cons than they do pros. And so that's why, I mean, you know, anyone, if your state has legal medical marijuana, you know, feel free to do that. But there's a difference between using it for medicinal purposes and abusing it. And that's what a lot of adolescents fail to see. Now, as I was saying about 60% of seniors, those are people who are about to be in our workforce, who we're going to have to depend on for clothing and hair and et cetera, and for all the necessities that we need. Do you want someone making your McDonald's burger high, or making your coffee high, or making your clothing high?
And
you don't.
So in a real sense, Alana, you're saying that this is quite prevalent among many groups, and statistically, you think that quite a number of young people are involved with abusing substances. And I think you've indicated for the most part, not only do they abuse drugs and et cetera, but they also deal with pharmaceutical items and et cetera, et cetera. That's a real problem that people ordinarily wouldn't associate with young people, but it's your contention that they also abuse prescription medications. Is that what we're saying? The
top 2 things that adolescents suffer from abusing: marijuana and prescription drugs. A lot of people say, well, why would teenagers abuse prescription drugs? You know, half of them can't even legally get them. You can. I can tell you firsthand that you can, because I had a couple prescription drugs when I had to have mouth surgery or gum surgery, whatever. But anyway, I was prescribed those drugs, and it's perfectly legal to be able to give a minor those, but I'm saying it's that easy to give them. And I'm glad that I received those, because they did help with pain and I didn't abuse them. I had parents who took them from me, would only give me some at a certain time and etc. But a lot of people don't have parents who are aware of how big substance abuse, how prevalent it is. And you want to know a scary statistic? The United States, you know, all the states, make up 5% of the world's population, entire world. We make up 75% of prescription drugs used. And so that's really a problem in the United States. That is a big problem. We only make up 5% of the world's population, but 75% of the world's prescription drugs go to us. We don't even have the majority of the world in our country. We're not that big of a country. Like, that's very That's alarming. That's highly alarming. And another statistic, 60% of adolescents get their drugs from an adult, or get prescription drugs at least from an adult or a family friend for free. So honestly, it's not even an issue that doctors are prescribing drugs to parents and et cetera for their issues. It's an issue of parents either not educating their children about substance abuse or not being careful to keep their drugs away. Like, you know, parents will always say, well, I know my child wouldn't. You don't know that your child wouldn't, because I know plenty of parents who've sat up and said, I know my child wouldn't do so and so and so, and their child's locked up and doing God knows what and God knows where. So you can never be too careful. Even if you're 1000% sure that your child wouldn't do something, there's always gonna be that one person in their life that's encouraging them to do that something. And maybe they'll fall under peer pressure and maybe they won't, but you can never be too sure. That's why parents and teenagers should educate themselves on substance abuse and how prevalent it is more frequently. You know, this shouldn't be something that even has to be talked about. This should be something taught in schools. Same thing as like sex ed and things like that. We could prevent so much if we had proper education for things that were really hurting the adolescent community. You know, high school students, sex education. They really don't have it in schools, and when they do have it in schools, they only talk about, say, just being, you know,
promiscuous or something.
Yeah,
like,
and they don't really talk. They talk about, you know, saving yourself for marriage and things like that. They don't really talk about, if you're going to do it, these are the proper steps to take. These are the resources that you have in the event of pregnancy and things like that.
Okay, so Alana, what we'll do, we'll take this first commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this final commercial break. Is this,
yes, because this is the part that I can slam dunk.
Mm-hmm. Now you got 10 minutes on this.
Ooh, okay. Even better.
You got that kind of information?
Yes. I mean, it's like, it's a part of your life. It's like you talking about your daily activities. You can talk about that all day. Why? Because it's like something you see every day, something you do every day.
And so it's that prevalent among
that bad. It's that bad. I could sit up and tell you a different experience for every grade. I mean, every grade I was in school. I'm not even just singling out my middle school. I have plenty of friends, or they're not really my friends anymore.
Yeah, when you start talking about that, make that clear that you're not talking specifically about your school, but all
but
schools,
middle schools, yeah.
Middle schools in general, because of your experiences of knowing that some other students in there, so everybody don't think that.
It's crazy. I've seen strung out teenagers. Like, and
you're going to call this real world experiences. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's excellent information up until now.
Thanks.
10 more minutes and that'll be it for this show. Hope I can get AJ's show to go as smooth as this one.
Me too.
He should be out there soon, shouldn't he?
30 seconds out.
Yes, sir.
So thank you and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. The topic is adolescence and substance abuse, and we're fortunate to have with us Alana McLaughlin, who's already given us some excellent information in reference to the issue of adolescence and substance abuse. And Alana, let's pick up where we left off the last time and give you an opportunity to elaborate upon some of what I think you're going to call world experiences, some of your world experiences in reference to it. Let's talk about it from that perspective.
Well, for our viewers just turning in, or just tuning in, In the first 2 segments, I talked about how basically when I'm talking about all this, I'm focusing on the adolescent age group because that, in my eyes, that means 13 to middle 20s. And that's an age group that I can relate to because that's an age group I'm a part of. And that's one that I've been around frequently, and I'm always going to be around adolescents, you know, as long as adolescents exist. And so that's what I talked about, and I talked about how the 2 biggest things that adolescents abuse, marijuana and prescription drugs. And some people may say, well, you know, how do adolescents abuse prescription drugs? Parents, auntie, uncle, cousin, someone who had a surgery or did something and has leftover Adderall or stuff that's treated for, say, ADHD, that'd be Adderall. Who has leftover stuff like that, and they take that and they abuse that and they sell that and all that. But during this segment, I'm going to talk about real world experiences, and it's really disheartening to be able to talk about this because I'm only 13. I'll be 14 in a month. It's sad that a 13-year-old can sit up here and tell you countless encounters that I've had with people who are suffering from substance abuse and things like that. It's crazy how many people I know that I went to school with, had classes with, and I just finished middle school. It's crazy that I can sit up and tell you about so many people who suffer from this. I had a friend, I'm not going to say their name for legal purposes, but anyway, this friend, we're going to call him Joe. Joe was a Encore student. Encore is a program for gifted students. Joe just had everything going for him. You know, Joe played football and basketball and was crazy smart. Like, I had to always get help from Joe in Encore class stuff because we had really challenging things. Anyway, I lost contact with Joe for, say, 2 years because Joe moved schools. But anyway, I saw Joe again, and all Joe does is sit around, smoke, do Xanax, drink, and I'm just like, oh my God. And it's not even the occasional blunt or bottle of alcohol. No, this is every single day. We see this every day. We hear about it every day. You can't have a conversation with the dude because his mind is so gone. It's that bad. Even when he's sober, he's slow because that stuff has, those dangerous cocktails have messed up probably his organs, his head, obviously. He can't think straight. Without it, he goes through withdrawals. He itches and goes crazy when he doesn't have his fix. And it's crazy to think. It's just like, I went to school with you. It's crazy. He shows the same traits as a crackhead. Like, it's that bad. And I know plenty of people who had so much going for them who threw it all away to party and waste their life away. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I refuse to ever do stuff like that. I don't hang out with those same people anymore and do all that because I've seen firsthand how easily that if you just let your guard down for once saying, oh, I can control it, you know, I'll do this once and never again, it's not that easy. And I know that if I fell under something like that, I wouldn't have enough self-will to be able to pull myself from that hole. And I applaud the people who do because that takes a lot of strength to be able to kick an addiction. And so you are saying, Lana, that in your age group and in your category, that you have an opportunity to run across, every day.
Not only in just generally people who fall within that, and so it's such a massive problem all over. And
I was at the mall, I think a couple months ago, and we were in Pink, and the lady. Or she wasn't a lady. I guess she looked about 17 or 18. The girl that was in front of me and my friend Terry was just high as I don't know what. It was wild. I'm like, it's crazy. You can't go anywhere without encountering someone that's either strung out or high or whatever. And I'm not saying everywhere you go you'll see somebody like this, but I'm saying that if you go to heavily the places that adolescents frequent, you know, mall, movies, restaurant, fast food and stuff like that, you're bound to see someone high or something. And it's crazy. You know, in middle school, and I'm not just saying my middle school, no, lots of middle schools, maybe even every middle school has somebody that's either silently suffering or just suffering and does not care, you know. And a lot of this, all this stuff springs from your home life. All this could be prevented with stronger home lives. You know, that's why I'm saying I don't blame parents who can't always be there for their kids, because I know that parents do have to work to make ends meet. But I'm saying that if you can't, you know, get your child involved in programs such as like Boys and Girls Club and band and other happy programs that provide that family bond. Like, I'm in band, and we're just like, it's like my extended family. I have a great family at home, but it's even better to know that whenever y'all are busy, I have a whole set of people who I can talk to and bond with, and vice versa. It's just, you can never have too many people who are there for you. And a lot of people say, well, I got my parents and my siblings and da-da-da, I don't need. I mean, sure, you don't need it, but it's still nice to have. You know, I don't need to be a part of a different group of people who I can bond with, but I do, and it helps.
Alana, so finally, do you think that the teachers and all of these other individuals are aware of all of these? What do you think that's being done in reference to, or should the school? What should the school do in reference to something like this?
Have more substance education training. More. You can never have enough. That could even be a side class, like say when you have like break times or at the end of the day when y'all are just cooling down, things like that. You know, it'll help in the long run because a lot of parents aren't aware of it. A lot of teachers aren't. But I feel like if you get that proper education and your child is coming home telling you about this, then you go tell your neighbor, and your neighbor will tell yada yada blah. You know, it has an impact. And it would really make a change if we had the schools, because that's the one place that we're forced to go by law, school. If you have schools teaching it, it's going to make a difference because everybody goes to school. So I just personally feel that that's something that should be taught in schools. And you know, you always have those certain teachers who will talk about it, but I feel like we should have classes about it and education and how to stay away from stuff like that, because it's sickening to see how many people suffer from something that could easily have been prevented with just proper training and knowledge about it.
And so you were talking about something, Lana, during this last minute and a half that we have. You're talking about something that a lot of students in middle school and et cetera,
high school, college,
see this problem the same way you see it, even many of those that are caught up in it. But it appears that schools and churches and regular society, we're doing nothing in order to try to counter this. And
they're not. And there are some programs, you know, that are dedicated to helping adolescents and teens with substance abuse, but there's not enough. You don't hear about it as widespread as it needs to be. People don't realize that this is a problem. This is just as big as gun violence, and, well, a little smaller than gun violence, but still, we just need more advocates for things like that. And I'm trying to be that by sitting here and telling people firsthand, like, I've seen this. It's not just something that I'm reading off the internet. I can tell you straight up that I know people who are suffering from this. I've seen people dying over this. People throwing away great opportunities over stuff like drugs, and it's not worth it. It's not at all. And I just feel like more people need to know that.
Okay,
more parents.
So let me thank you for bringing us that excellent information. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.